I wanted you to have a chance to clear your name. Listen, Chantel. If this is how you must clear my name, I must clear my name if you do this. Stop, girl. Do you? The surprising claims that reality TV matriarch Jackie Tae was covertly seeing her daughter's ex-boyfriend have left fans in disbelief. Insider Whispers claims that the drama reached its climax when Jackie's adolescent daughter approached her mother in a furious argument that descended into violence. The young woman's claims that she discovered her mother and ex-boyfriend locked in a passionate embrace, and that the quarrel became physical when she demanded explanations caused intense emotions. When reports surfaced of a live phone call in which Jackie was seen pushing her kid and sending her falling onto a couch, the family was split. There have been eyewitness leaks, hazy pictures of hands raised and faces marred by tears, which fueled rumors that this was no typical mother-daughter argument. Since then, there has been an unsettling quiet at dinner tables, according to sources, with baby monitors picking up sobbing and irate murmurs late into the night. The idea that a mother could violate her own child's trust shocks fans. And there is a lot of discussion on social media about whether the daughter's assertions are an attention-seeking rant or the reality, with secrets and allegiances shattered. It appears that more than just familial ties may be shattered by this fiery rivalry. For weeks, the tension had been building beneath the surface. However, no one anticipated the explosion, Jackie least of all. Emma, her kid, had picked up on small details. The way texts appeared on her mother's phone at strange times. Long after anyone had left, the kitchen still smelled of a brand new fragrance. The most telling was Jackie's guilty pleasure expression whenever Emma's ex-boyfriend Ryan was brought up. At first, Emma tried to ignore it, telling herself that adults should be allowed to keep their secrets. As stories started to circulate, she started following her mother's whereabouts and pieced together an unbelievable tale. The idea that a loving mother would cheat on her child by dating her ex has horrified many, and Emma's heart was racing since the betrayal was more painful than any divorce could ever be. It was the Thursday of the week before the showdown. Due to extra art club, Emma stayed late at school. The house was silent and dark when she eventually got home. She slipped across the living room on tiptoe and halted when she saw Jackie's shadow in the kitchen, the only light coming from a phone screen. Emma heard her mother speak in a low voice. The words struck her like a punch. "I miss you, Ryan. This is harder than I thought." In a private confession, Ryan's name, the same name she'd crammed into, pillows and ripped from social media streaks, came out of her mother's mouth. She gazed in silence for a heartbeat, grief mixed with bewilderment. Jackie put a palm to her mouth as the phone clicked to shut. Fiorama couldn't tell if her shoulders were shaking with regret or something else. Emma fled to her room, her thoughts racing, rather than face her directly. She sent an uncensored blow-by-blow text to her best friend Maya about what she had witnessed. Maya's answer was almost immediate. "That's crazy. Are you certain?" The audio clip that Emma had surreptitiously recorded on her phone was sent. Aruck. And indignant, Maya responded with a voice note, calling on Emma to take action. "You must face her," Maya demanded. Before anyone knew it, the family had split up. The mother-daughter bond was so brittle that it was on the verge of breaking. When Emma realized that this was more than just a disagreement, her heart began to race. It was a betrayal that had its origins in her past relationship with Ryan. The living area turned into a battleground that evening. Curled up on the couch, Jackie was looking through old pictures, records of Emma's early years, most likely by herself, but appearing more disoriented than sentimental. With her phone in hand and her cheeks heated from anger and sorrow, Emma strode in. "Mom," she replied in a quiet but shaky voice. Startled, Jackie looked up. Emma interrupted, pressing the record button. "Emma, what?" She slid the phone over the coffee table and asked, "Why are you dating him?" Panic flooded Jackie's features as her gaze flitted to the screen. She gasped, "This isn't what it looks like," as her voice faltered. There was no room for denial, however, when Emma played again, the excerpt, and Jackie's own words echoed through the quiet room. When the recording concluded, the emotional wall collapsed. Emma rushed forward, pulling Jackie's phone out of her grasp as the emotional dam broke. She sobbed as she said, "How could you?" Jackie reached out to stand, but Emma flinched back. "Don't touch me," she grew irate. Jackie's composed demeanor broke as she said, "You knew what you were doing. Do you know how much this would hurt me?" She sprang to retrieve her phone. Jackie staggered into the coffee table as Emma's elbow struck her mother's arm during the altercation. A glass of water fell and shattered on the rug. Only the shock jockey's breath caught for a little moment. Fingers brushed against the slight bruise on her arm from Emma's movement. Emma froze, the grief and shame rushing through her. Neither had anticipated a physical altercation. But all of a sudden, their tears made it difficult to distinguish between the victim and the offender. The house plunged into an uncomfortable silence in the fallout. Emma was standing over Jackie's eyes as she dropped to the ground, carefully holding her arm, broad with remorse. Emma muttered, "I'm sorry," her voice breaking. Jackie, however, let her tears fall freely. "I am the one who should be sorry," she murmured, her voice shaking with unfiltered passion. While they sat in stunned silence, Emma's phone buzzed with incoming messages. Maya begged for updates, and group chat notifications from classmates jumped off the screen. It appeared that someone had filmed a snippet of their argument from the sidewalk. "I forgot that your heart matters more than my loneliness." The two sat amid broken glass and flickering lamplight, the remnants of their arguments scattered around them like evidence. Emotions ran high as each processed the depth of the breach muff. In a matter of minutes, the drama erupted on social media, shocking fans with the explosive video clips of a tearful Emma confronting her mother. The family also learned that their private suffering had been made public, and shockwaves swept through their social circle, with some defending Jackie's right to happiness and others sympathizing with Emma's right to be angry. The family was split as whispers turned into pointed questions, such as whether Jackie was using her daughter's ex as a rebound or whether Emma overreacted by pushing her mother. The following morning, the wave of gossip slammed into their lives with full force, and Jackie's phone rang nonstop with calls. The betrayal that had once seemed secret now felt like a tag-long parasite devouring every moment of calm. "Do tighter." In the middle of the chaos, Jackie called a family meeting in the living room. Emma woke up to headlines screaming Jackie's scandalous rebound and her daughter's shocking accusations. School was a war zone of furtive glances and whispered rumors as classmates shared links to every clip and speculation thread. Emma's locker was covered in post-it notes. How could you? Now free of glass fragments but laden with unsaid tension, Emma sat next to her father, who had come home from a business trip with heartbroken eyes, while Jackie stood in front of them, her voice trembling but resolute. "No, I hurt you, Emma," she said, tears in her eyes. "I made a mistake. Allow my loneliness to influence my decisions." Emma's father nodded, placing a hand on Emma's shoulder. "We're here," he whispered quietly. With a trembling breath, Jackie said, "But we need the truth." "I did spend some time with Ryan. We went too far, yet it began as comfort." As the admission hit the room like a THUNDERCLAP, silence fell. Despite being sincere, the confession just caused more pain. Emma discreetly sobbed as the seriousness of her mother's behavior became clear. The family's friends encouraged them to get counseling. Polls about the family's chances of recovery were posted by fans. When Emma's uncle made a sincere plea for privacy in a tweet, emotions were running high. However, they were confronted with the hard truth that they could no longer control their private. The family was split apart. Every member is battling their own suffering. Emma and her broken faith. In an attempt to recover control, Emma's father faces the difficulty of preventing a broken home from completely collapsing, while Jackie struggles with her guilt. Jackie suggested a kind of intervention. She would distance herself from Ryan and concentrate only on strengthening her relationship with Emma going forward. Emma tightened her hands and listened, wondering whether she would ever be able to forgive. However, the act gave rise to a glimmer of hope. Both mother and daughter understood as they sat in that tense living room that mending needed more than just saying sorry. It also took openness, tolerance, and the courage to confront their own shortcomings. They both realized that despite the uncertainty of the road ahead, this confrontation, as messy and terrible as it was, might be the only way to save the love that had always held them together. They might be able to regain their mutual trust. It seemed like walking on glass in the days following Jackie's revelation. Wounds that were just starting to scab over ran the risk of reopening with each step. Emma, with the sound of hushed conversations. In the kitchen, she withdrew to her room and blocked the door. Neighbors looked through the rumors swirling about the outside world. Social media was ablaze with unrelenting comments as Hedges reporters circled their block. But the tension inside the house was oppressive. Jackie tried to grin gently while tiptoeing about. Emma's scowl, however, cut through the atmosphere, reminding her mother that forgiveness was still a long way off. As Jackie pondered whether she had irreparably damaged her daughter, feelings were running high. Irreparable. Emma's ex-boyfriend Ryan, meanwhile, had to face his own consequences. The following morning, he had arrived unexpectedly, expecting to give an explanation, but Jackie wouldn't let him beyond the front door. Through frosted glass, Emma observed him pacing the porch while sending begging texts and furious voicemails. Emma was troubled by one message. "I had no intention of hurting you. All I wanted was an understanding person." She slapped the phone onto its cradle while fighting back tears. The family was split on whether to permanently exile Ryan or allow him to return. Her father broke the silence over dinner. "We must determine what is best," he added quietly, "for us all." Kima's lips became parched. What appeared to be a sharp "Cliff was the best." Jackie devoted her afternoons to writing increasingly apologetic letters of apology. In the hopes that an unbiased listener may steer the argument back toward love, she asked family friends to mediate. However, each meeting ended with annoyance. A compassionate woman from the reading club, one of Emma's friends, attempted to comfort her. Her words were soft. "Women make mistakes," she remarked. Emma shook her head and said, "Your mother still loves you." "This isn't about mistakes," she retorted aggressively. When the friend realized Emma's heart had hardened, her eyes briefly glowed with anguish. "It's about betrayal." Jackie's chest constricted as she heard the door close on yet another fruitless attempt at reconciliation from the hallway. My Emma's best buddy turned into the most ferocious ally throughout all of this turmoil. She set up camp in Emma's bedroom, providing unending ice cream and soothing music. "You deserve better," she said as she tucked Emma to bed. However, Ma also pushed for action, saying one afternoon, "You have to stand up for yourself. You can't just sit here." Together, they wrote a message for a group chat with friends, asking them to avoid family drama and to remember that Emma was more than just a headline. The chat was filled with heart emojis and pledges of loyalty, but Emma questioned whether any of it could undo what her mother had done. Emma nodded, determination flickering behind her tears. Unsure whether she could welcome that comfort again, rumors outside the house deepened the rift. Jackie's phone buzzed with alerts. Not wanting to lose her daughter entirely, she planned a surprise gesture. She had Emma's childhood blanket refurbished, the one Emma hugged through every storm, and she left it at Emma's doorstep with a note for the nights I forgot to hold you. When Emma found it, the familiar softness caught her off guard. She pressed the blanket to her face, bringing back memories of slower times, but anger pulsed beneath her skin even as tears warmed her cheeks. The family frantically tried to control the story as Ryan demanded a public apology, and Jackie's daughter retaliated. Producers wanted to keep the drama private, so they offered a televised reconciliation, but Emma refused, saying, "I will not fix this for cameras," shutting down her mother's request to change her mind. The gap between their realities appeared to be revealed in a surprising turn of events when Ryan delivered a handwritten letter to Emma late one night, the scented paper crisp in the lamplight, and Emma unfolded it with shaking fingers. Writing of regret and confusion. The next morning, the house awoke to the smell of pancakes, and Jackie, flour-dusted and shy, called Emma down for breakfast. The family gathered around the table, a frail attempt at normalcy, while Ryan hovered at the bottom of the stairs, uninvited but present, eyes cast downward. Emma read the letter, her anger wavering as he acknowledged his selfishness and said he still cared for Emma's happiness more than anything else. "I read your letter," she said softly to Ryan. He looked up, hopeful, and she stopped, heart thumping. "I think you feel regret, but I'm not ready to forgive." Ryan nodded solemnly, tears in his eyes. "I get it." Jackie watched the conversation, tears in her eyes. The family was split, but for the first time, the channels of communication were wider than ever. Later that afternoon, Emma took the blanket from her bed, folded it carefully, and carried it downstairs to find her mother in the garden, caring for withered roses. Emma's eyes widened and her voice faltered. She said, "I don't know when I'll let you back in, but I'm not throwing this away." Jackie's hands trembled as she reached for the blanket, and she whispered, "Thank you." They stood there, mother and daughter, two frail figures against the roses, both injured but bound by an unspoken promise to try. Emotions ran high during that brief moment of calm, a glimmer of hope in the storm. As evening approached, the three of them gathered in the living room with Emma's father, and they sat on the couch, the tension reduced by the softness of the blanket draped between them. The days that followed the breakfast truce felt eerily calm, but the calm was only a facade hiding the undercurrent of tension. Ryan remained silent, but his presence spoke volumes. Emma accepted Jackie's hand, albeit cautiously, and champagne remained unopened. A celebration was postponed on the coffee table. Outside, fans argued whether this family could survive such a scandal. But inside, a quiet determination took hold. There was no way to know what tomorrow would bring, but in that heart-still moment, a fragile promise blossomed. According to rumors, Ryan had filed a restraining order against Jackie, claiming emotional distress from the confrontation. The paperwork arrived at the family's doorstep, and Jackie held it with trembling hands while Emma watched, heart pounding. "He's gone too far," Jackie whispered, eyes brimming, and Emma crossed the room, snatching the papers in a few strides. "You don't need this," she said fiercely, "and we'll fight it." Emotions ran high as the father insisted that they consult a lawyer, while Jackie begged for privacy. The family was once again split as legal threats turned their private suffering into a public spectacle, and school hallways became a scene of gossip. Others regarded Emma as the hero defending her heart, while classmates whispered that she was acting out because her mother was seeing her ex. One afternoon, Emma's best friend Maya stopped her between lockers and asked, "Are you okay?" Emma leaned against the cool metal, her eyes red, and said, "I'm tired of being the headline," confessing, "I just want my mom back." Maya questioned, in a quiet voice. Fans are amazed at how swiftly private family trouble turned into teenage gossip, and the tension on Emma's face as she tried to concentrate on mathematics while her world fell apart is evident. Maya grabbed her hand and pledged, "We'll do whatever it takes." Jackie withdrew inside. She sobbed on the counselor's sofa as she described how she had lost herself after her divorce, leaving a need that Ryan's generosity had filled. "I know it was wrong," she said, "but I felt alive again. Therapy sessions, unburdening years of loneliness and sorrow." She was led by the counselor to examine boundaries and how they affected Emma's trust. Assignments to reestablish honesty, daily check-ins with Emma, and writing letters of apology marked the end of sessions. At home, Jackie was sitting at the kitchen table writing a letter to Emma. She wrote, "I know I broke your heart. I can't even begin to describe how much I've harmed you." In the hopes that vulnerability might heal the rift between them, she folded the paper and placed it on Emma's pillow. Meanwhile, Ryan encountered criticism from his own companions. At a coffee shop downtown, he was confronted by his best friend, Dan. "You're suing your rebound," Don slammed a mug onto the table and demanded. Ryan combed his hair and said, "This is messed up." "I'm furious," he said in a hollow voice. "I didn't mean to upend her entire universe." Dan dropped the case and leaned forward. "Show that you are more than just a headline." Ryan gazed at his swirling latte. He said, "I don't know who I am anymore." The men sat silently, the consequences of their deeds hanging over them like storm clouds. Ryan's decision to turn to the courts rather than his emotions has upset many. Additionally, the media portrayed him as both a victim and a villain due to his hesitation. Emma discovered her mother at home, meticulously vanishing the pile of legal documents in the hallway. Emma's tone faltered. She questioned, "You're going to fight him?" Red-eyed, Jackie looked up. "I must," she said. "I cannot allow him to control my life." Emma crossed her arms. "Don't fight me, but then fight." With tears in her eyes, Jackie nodded. "My top priority is you." The moment hovered in the liminal region between defiance and apology to blood-bound individuals. Under the spotlight of public attention, they are having difficulty redefining their relationship. Public examination. Jackie and Emma sat in the living room with broken glass and phone lines cut by fear and rage. When father's car came into the driveway, his worried face emerged in the doorway. His family was literally and figuratively broken when he entered. "What happened?" he inquired in a soft voice. Emma met her mother's tear-streaked face and looked at her. Softly. "I found out," she said. "She was dating Ryan." The guy father's arms encircled them both as the words came like thunder. The three of them shuddered in that embrace, bound together by suffering yet divided by the jagged edges of treachery. Thus, a portion of the healing process started with shared silence amongst shattered fragments rather than with loud announcements. After fetching a broom, Emma's father swept the broken glass into a dustpan. Every flash of crystal serves as a reminder of how delicate the ground is beneath them. Sitting next to Emma, Jackie ran a compassionate hand through her daughter's hair. They exchanged a look that conveyed both sadness and the tiniest hint of determination. Together, they would confront the storm, but the path ahead was filled with the weight of unspoken rumors and the personal pain of betrayed trust. They were aware at that point that the path of forgiveness would put them to the test in ways they had not yet anticipated. Additionally, the mental and physical scars would influence their story's chapters for years to come. You have now witnessed how a mother's deep-seated desire became entangled with her daughter's previous romantic interest, leading to a conflict so strong that it became physical, leaving the family reeling. After her daughter's first heartbreak, Jackie had a covert relationship with Ryan. When Emma discovered whispered phone calls and broke boundaries, Kay became a powder keg of guilt and rage. As a muttered confession in the living room turned into a shove that sent Jackie falling into the coffee table, shattering more than just glass, emotions were running high. The family was torn between indignation about a daughter's trust being violated and sympathy for a lonely mother looking for connection. A dot. We observed the hush that followed the incident, broken photo frames, the thud of a father's car as he came home, and the awareness that their private anguish was already splashed throughout social media. The unvarnished vulnerability in the aftermath, Emma's sobs when she faced her mother, and Jackie's shuddering apologies in the midst of crystal fragments. As classmates and neighbors voiced their opinions and made admissions in the living room into news stories, we witnessed loyalties shredded as Jackie and Emma had to make a decision. Find a way to be honest and mend, no matter how nasty, or let this controversy rip them apart. What do you think then? Even if it meant jeopardizing her daughter's confidence, did Jackie have the right to look for solace following her loss? Despite the fact that it became physical, was Emma right to insist on the truth? Can sincere regrets and candid discussions heal a relationship that has been shattered by betrayal? Or are there some boundaries that should never be crossed? And who will take the initiative to mend what has been damaged now that all the secrets are public knowledge? Please share your opinions in the comment section below. Take them both away. Emma's father insisted on a digital detox and reserved a cabin by the lake for a weekend getaway. The family drove away from the city, the air getting sharper as they climbed winding roads and cell phones fell silent. Emma and Jackie found themselves reluctantly giggling over board games and charades at the lodge, which was surrounded by pine woods. Under a starry sky, Dan, who joined to help Ryan but remained a family ally, roasted marshmallows with his father. When a rogue text message compelled the phone displays to illuminate, the seas rose. The lawsuit had been dropped by Ryan. They were both relieved and perplexed by the news. His abrupt change of heart has stunned his fans. The family saw a glimmer of hope that maybe this chapter could come to an end when they tweeted. After the ETI lawsuit was dismissed, Emma and Jackie sat that night, feet hanging over rippling water on a dock. Jackie extended her hand to take Emma's. Softly. "I'm proud of you," she said. Emma paused, then intertwined her mother's fingers, whispering, "I'm proud of you too," she said. The siblings took an unposed picture. Emma saw Jackie's hand shaking as the camera flashed, but she also emailed it to Maya with the caption, "Chapter closed." Their faces were lit with laughter. Knowing that mending frequently happened in little, clumsy increments, she gave it a reassuring squeeze. The family was left split no longer, replaced by a tenuous union tested by fire. A final twist surfaced. The following morning, an unnamed blog published an alleged journal entry from Emma's former partner. Ryan asserted that he had planned his relationship with Jackie in order to gain social standing. It read like a chilly conspiracy. She gives me opportunities I never would have imagined. Without her, I am nothing. Waves of shock swept over their tight-knit group. The breakfast table was slammed by Emma's father's fist. He bellowed, "This can't be true." Jackie's cheeks turned pale. Emma's heart became crooked. She said in a voice, "Where did they acquire this?" shuddering. A blurry picture of a hand holding a fountain pen was included in the diary post. Could it be Ryan's hand or someone else's? The prospect of yet another betrayal shocks fans as mistrust threatens to re-emerge within the cozy confines of the cabin. Jackie demanded that they speak with Ryan face to face. Before long, they were circling his couch in the living room while holding the anonymous diary. "Printout?" Ryan raised his hands. "I didn't write that," he informed me. His gaze shifted to his father and then to Emma before he said, "I'm no mastermind. Someone wants to keep us at war." When it became apparent that an invisible participant might be using their suffering for a perverse joy, the gathering fell silent. As suspicion spread over who might be using their family conflict as a publicity stunt, emotions were running high. Amid the sounds of faraway loons and the crackle of a dying fire, skylight shines beneath the cabins. Together, they agreed to defend their truth and stand by each other in the face of any future plots. Jackie gave Emma a firm hug. In contrast to the commotion outside, the comfort of that embrace is a promise. They realized that true treachery occurred when they had doubts about one another, as dawn painted the lake in gold. And when they united, true strength emerged. In that instant, they were more than simply mother and daughter. They were allies, made in the furnace, prepared to face whatever dramatic turn of events was ahead, even though the road ahead was still unclear. No one was aware that the tension had been building for weeks. Until one morning, Emma heard her mother's phone buzzing, faintly in the hallway. Jackie had always taken great satisfaction in being a loving, caring mother. The type of lady who, without giving the story a second thought, embroidered patches on her daughter's favorite trousers and made cookies on Thursday afternoons. Lately, however, there had been late-night footsteps when everyone else was asleep. A fresh perfume aroma floating in the kitchen at strange hours and snatched looks at her phone. Emma followed the sound to the open living room door that morning, her pulse thumping in her chest as she cautiously left her room, curiosity and fear ablaze. When fans hear what she overheard, they are startled. Jackie whispered a name she knew. Ryan. In the soothing glow of the TV screen, Emma's own heart had once held the youngster tenderly in the months following her first heartbreak. Jackie's voice wavered as she said, "I miss you, Ryan." Emma froze, her hands tightening on the doorframe. Her thoughts were racing through all of the memories she had of Ryan. The timid initial kiss beneath the willow, Sunday morning pancakes, and the shared sundresses never had. She pictured her mother, as if reclaiming a youth that had been her daughter's, slipping silently into his arms. Jackie's low laugh, which reverberated in Emma's ears like a betrayal, made her gasp. Her stomach twisted in knots as emotions ran high. The division of the family was discovered long before anyone else did. Instead of confronting Jackie right, once Emma's silent sadness cast a shadow over her mother's cheerful smiles and her father's weekday coffee. Emma went to her hiding place. Sketchbooks and painting tools littered the bright area of her bedroom. With trembling fingers, she contacted Maya, her best friend. Whispering, "You're not going to believe what I just heard," she said. Mia's response was a single gasping, "What?" Emma played the recording again. "Rive through the speaker," she said. Jackie's voice filled the silent room as she quickly took a picture, bringing her phone closer to her ear. Finally, Maya remarked, "That's your mom," her words laced with incredulity and indignation. "You must face her." Emma, however, paused. This was no quarrel about a pilfered lipstick in school. Emma felt vulnerable and alone since her mother, the person she loved the most, had crossed a limit. The living area became a makeshift battlefield that night. Unaware of Emma's approach, Jackie sat on the couch looking through an old photo album. It felt like the quiet before a storm as the pages turned gently. With her phone in hand and her cheeks burning, Emma strode in. "Mom," she said in a stern but hushed voice. Jackie's expression changed to one of astonishment as she looked up. What did Emma start? But through the silence, Emma's phone was shouting Jackie's remarks on the tape. Jackie's face was pale. "This isn't what it sounds like," she stumbled. But Emma hit play. "Explain this," Emma ordered, her eyes angry. The flood of secrets broke and emotions ran high as mother and daughter faced the unvarnished reality. Jackie stood, her voice shaking, and said, "I need it," as she whispered Ryan's name once more. "Someone," she confessed, tears glistening in her eyes. "Your dad has been working so much, and I felt lonely." Emma's heart clenched. She understood loneliness. But this felt like betrayal. "You could have talked to me," Emma shot back. "I would have listened." With every phrase a drop of acid, the accusation hung in the air. Jackie stepped forward shakily, arms extended. "Emma, please," she begged, but Emma flinched. The pain etched on Emma's face made Jackie hesitate, her own guilt threatening to overpower her. The confrontation reached a breaking point when Jackie, in a desperate attempt to regain her phone, jerked her arm away and stumbled, her ankle catching the corner of the coffee table and sending her crashing into the low glass top. The table shook, drinks toppled, and Emma's breath caught as Jackie landed hard with a sharp G. A water glass shattered behind her, fragments scattering across the plush rug. Time seemed to stop for a heartbeat. As Jackie's hand moved to her hip, Emma noticed a bright red mark where her own elbow had touched her hip. Emma's stomach turned over when she saw her mother in pain, and no amount of rage could make the ache that now welled inside her go away. Dot amid the glass shards and the flickering TV screen. The room fell silent, and Emma's ears were filled with Jackie's shallow breaths as she knelt next to her, panic taking precedence over anger. "Mom, I'm sorry." "I didn't mean," she muttered. But Jackie put a quivering hand on Emma's cheek and spoke in a low, emotional voice. "I'm the one who hurt you." Tears were streaming down both of their faces, blending grief and shame. The intensity of the moment shocked fans. The mother's regret and the daughter's anger collided in a single physical blow, leaving the family divided as their once close relationship lay broken on the floor among broken glass. In the silence that followed, Emma helped Jackie stand up, supporting her arm as they made their way to the hallway, the sound of distant sirens and cracks seeming to emphasize their wounded hearts. "I don't know how to fix this," Emma sobbed. And Jackie took both of Emma's hands in her own voice, small but determined. "We start with honesty," she whispered. The following morning, the private pain spilled into the public eye. A neighbor's ring cam had captured blurry footage of Jackie's fall and the raised voices through the window. Within hours, gossip blogs exploded with headlines. Reality TV mom scandal turns violent and daughters claim ex-romance leads to family feud. Emma nodded, though every fiber of her being trembled with uncertainty. Would honesty heal a wound that had cut so deeply? Or would the memory of that moment, hands raised, bodies bruised, forever shadow their bond? Emma's phone buzzed nonstop with notifications. Emma felt the weight of two worlds, the intimate pain of mother and daughter, and the harsh glare of public scrutiny weigh down on her shoulders as classmates sent links and strangers commented on pictures of the broken coffee table. She pressed her palm to her forehead, overcome by the realization that her most personal betrayal had become a public spectacle. One spectacle.